pleasant afternoon to all of you. I am Maria Cristina Bagaforo, an anti-human trafficking advocate, a member of the Catholic Women's League of the Philippines, and an active youth minister from the Diocese of Malolos. This is my third time to be in the Vatican Youth Symposium, and I am very happy to be back and share success stories about solidarity and stewardship from my country, Philippines. For this session, I will be talking about the preventive efforts that the local church has been doing back in my country and a success story of one of our survivors in a diocesan shelter. My discussion will be divided into 3 points: a macroscopic view of the collaborative works being carried out within the Philippine Catholic Churches, the efforts of the Diocesan Commission on Youth of the Diocese of Malolos to address the said issue, and number 3, the story of Arlene, a girl who experienced the pangs of modern-day slavery. In February 2017, 4 of the church agencies have teamed up in a renewed effort to combat trafficking in persons. The Commissions on Family and Life, Migrants, Women, and Youth were all tapped for collaborative work that was deemed critical in fighting modern-day slavery and could pave way for possible means and ways to help rebuild the victims' lives. The vision for this initiative is that for every diocese, specifically those identified territories with high rates of human trafficking cases, series of consultations and training workshops would soon be given in to facilitate broader awareness campaign about human trafficking and to provide wider support for victims through spiritual and social services. Take, for example, the Archdiocese of San Fernando, Pampanga, that has just recently formed their Archdiocesan Cluster Against Trafficking. I happen to be a resource speaker in one of their awareness seminars, and I find it very heartwarming to see how the Holy Spirit actually works with the mobilization of the local church. In 2015, I was fortunate to have been invited to a 5-day training course on the empowerment of youth ministers to stop trafficking in persons. This was an initiative of Talita Cum Philippines and CBCP Episcopal Commission on Youth. The experience led to an uproar and an emotional outburst among the youth ministers, including me. We were angered because we were confronted with figures that were increasing dramatically every year. These figures weren't just numerals. They represented people being added to the statistics of the victims of these hideous crimes against humanity. In the Philippines, minors as young as 5 are being hired to work in firecracker factories. A child as young as 4 years old is being sexually abused in cybersex dens for the satisfaction of pedophiles. It was an eye-opener to us, the Filipino youth ministers, and it led us to the conclusion that slavery did not end 200 years ago. We were faced with a sickening reality that has been lurking in the dark after all these years. We came to know that, these sad reality have been preying on the weakest of the weak and the most vulnerable victims. Our diocese's local youth director, who is a member of the clergy, saw the immediate need to address this, and he made it possible to put up the Diocese of Malolos' Anti-Trafficking in Persons Desk through its Diocesan Commission on Youth. I am proud to say that the youth in our diocese have had the awakening on the importance of the human life and had understood their essential role in upholding the dignity and quality of both males and females. The profiles of our youth ministers are diverse. We have students, certified public accountants, educators, engineers, and IT experts, to name a few. Despite all these differences, the Commission was able to put up programs that help spread awareness on human trafficking and other forms of slavery. Several youth ministers have been sent to attend interdiocesan consultation and training workshops on combating human trafficking. The Commission has been maintaining a Facebook fan page that dedicated Thursday as a day for posting anti-TIP related information with the hashtag #EndSlavery. We have included human trafficking as one of our topics for plenary sessions and youth gatherings, such as days in the diocese and regional meetings. Since last year, the diocesan youth across the 10 vicariates has been gathering in one place and celebrating the memorial of St. Josephine Bakhita, patron of slaves, whose life story has been an inspiration to all and has been one of the ultimate sources of strength for our girls at the diocesan shelter. We surely have been making some noise. Following the establishment of an anti-TIP desk is the inclusion of Bahay Pangarap Women's Center Foundation Incorporated as one of the apostolate area assignments for the youth of our diocese. Basically, the shelter is a house of refuge for girls who have been battered, trafficked, traumatized by forced labor, and sexually abused and exploited. However, for these 11 girls, the shelter is not only just a house to them, not just a mere concrete structure, but a place they call home, where they can silently heal their wounds, regenerate, and rehabilitate. Being a volunteer to the shelter since 2011, I saw how these young ladies endured the physical pain and suffered the prolonged emotional stitches modern slavery had caused them. Add to this, I also witnessed how the shelter they call home struggled financially. In the solution that I presented last year in the same event to address SDG 5, that is gender equality, I mentioned that due to the unstable economic situation in my country, the shelter's annual expense this current year has been projected to increase by 15%. The shelter is running short of financial and human resources. Majority of the youth ministers in the diocese are still in school, or some have just started their careers, and to be honest, we are financially incapable of sustaining the shelter. But if there's one thing that our diocese had taught us, young ministers, there's something that money cannot buy, and that is fraternal love, and that is what we could offer to them. As I end my speech, allow me to share a story of redemption about Arlene. I consider this a milestone and a victory against modern-day slavery. Arlene was only 16 years old when I met her after her case was referred to our shelter in 2012. She was fragile, frightened, and hopeless because of the betrayal she experienced from her own family. In order to survive daily, she was forced to earn for a living under poor working conditions to a point that her feeble and frail body almost gave up. She did not live a normal life compared to the other 16-year-olds out there. She was battered, hungry, overworked, and very weak. While at the shelter, she gained a new family. She was given proper nutrition, decent clothing, and access to quality education. 5 years after, the fragile, frightened, and hopeless girl marched her way to success upon earning her bachelor's degree in elementary education. Before entering Bahay Pangarap, Arlene was a broken glass. No matter how hard she tried reassembling herself, the glass fragments just won't fit back together. Inside her new home, she learned to love herself and to find new meaning in her life despite her dark past. She became the group's ate, or elder sister, and loved them in return. Her house parents, her sisters, her friends, the shelter's benefactors, all of them helped Arlene put the pieces back together in place. She redeemed herself. She was no longer a weakling. She gained self-esteem and self-confidence. Arlene now stands tall and proud with all her battle scars empowered while setting a good example for her younger sisters in Bahay Pangarap. I hope every one of you here this afternoon saw how important one's role in this fight against modern-day slavery. This is not just a simple fight that can be solved overnight by 1 or 2 people. This is one big fight. We, the people who are working to eradicate this mess, are like pieces of thread that are woven together to create a delicate fabric. The youth, together with the other sectors, we have interlaced responsibilities, social responsibilities, in order to save and produce more Arlenes and more victorious moments versus this crime against humanity. Thank you. Good afternoon.